The Old Man and the Sea, 어니스트 헤밍웨이, 5 of 20. 여러분 안녕하십니까? 노인과 바다 20편 나눠 읽기 5번째 시간입니다. 15개의 슬라이드 화면으로 구성하였습니다. 소설책으로는 32페이지에서 38페이지까지 7페이지 분량입니다. 이 소설로 크게 성공한 헤밍웨이는 2년 후 쿠바를 다시 찾습니다. 이야기의 소재를 제공한 쿠바 어부 그레고리 푸엔테스에게 거금 $20,000를 살해했다 합니다. 당시 미국 급여 생활자의 7년치 연봉이라 합니다. 헤밍웨이의 인간미가 돋보입니다. 마지막 페이지 119페이지를 향해서 출발하겠습니다. The sun was 2 hours higher now, and it did not hurt his eyes so much to look into the east. There were only 3 boats in sight now, and they showed very low and far inshore. All my life the early sun has hurt my eyes, he thought. Yet they are still good. In the evening I can look straight into it without getting the blackness. It has more force in the evening too, but in the morning it is painful. Just then he saw a man-of-war boat with his long black wings circling in the sky ahead of him. He made a quick drop, slanting down on his black swept wings, and then circled again. He's got something, the old man said aloud. He's not just looking. He rowed slowly and steadily toward where the bird was circling. He did not hurry, and he kept his lines straight up and down. But he crowded the current a little so that he was still fishing correctly, though faster than he would have fished if he was not trying to use the bird. The bird went higher in the air and circled again, his wings motionless. Then he dove suddenly, and the old man saw flying fish spurt out of the water and sail desperately over the surface. Dolphin, the old man said aloud, big dolphin. He shipped his oars and brought a small line from under the bow. It had a wire leader and a medium-sized hook, and he baited it with one of the sardines. He let it go over the side and then made it fast to a ring bolt in the stern. Then he baited another line and left it coiled in the shade of the bow. He went back to rowing and to watching the long-winged blackbird who was walking now low over the water. As he watched the bird dipped again, slanting his wings for the dive, and then swinging them wildly and ineffectually as he followed the flying fish. The old man could see the slight bulge in the water that the big dolphin raised as they followed the escaping fish. The dolphin were cutting through the water below the flight of the fish and would be in the water, driving at speed when the fish dropped. It is a big school of dolphins, he thought. They are widespread, and the flying fish have little chance. The bird has no chance. The flying fish are too big for him, and they go too fast. He watched the flying fish burst out again and again, and the ineffectual movements of the bird. The school has gotten away from me, he thought. They are moving out too fast and too far. Perhaps I'll pick up a stray, and perhaps my big fish is around them. My big fish must be somewhere. The clouds over the land now rose like mountains, and the coast was only a long green line with the gray-blue hills behind it. The water was a dark blue now, so dark that it was almost purple. As he looked down into it, he saw the red sifting of the plankton in the dark water, and the strange light the sun made now. He watched his lines to see them go straight down out of sight into the water, and he was happy to see so much plankton because it meant fish. The strange light the sun made in the water, now that the sun was higher, meant good weather, and so did the shape of the clouds of the land. But the bird was almost out of sight now, and nothing showed on the surface of the water but some patches of yellow, some bleached Sargasso wheat, and the purple, formalized, iridescent, gelatinous bladder of a Portuguese man of war floating close beside the boat. It turned on each side and then righted itself. It floated cheerfully, as a bubble with its long, deadly purple filaments trailing a yard behind it in the water. "Onguamala," the man said, "Yo-ho!" From where he swung lightly against his oars, he looked down into the water and saw the tiny fish that were colored like the trailing filaments, and swam between them and under the small shade the bubble made as it drifted. They were immune to its poison, but men were not, and when some of the filaments would catch on a line and rest there, slimy and purple, while the old man was walking a fish, he would have welts and sores on his arms and hands of the sort that poison ivy or poison oak can give. But these poisonings from the onguamala came quickly and struck like a whiplash. The iridescent bubbles were beautiful, but they were the falsest thing in the sea, and the old man loved to see the big sea turtles eating them. The turtles saw them, approached them from the front, then shut their eyes so they were completely carapaced, and ate them, filaments and all. The old man loved to see the turtles eat them, and he loved to walk on them on the beach after a storm and hear them pop when he stepped on them with the horny soles of his feet. He loved green turtles and hawksbills with their elegance and speed and their great value, and he had a friendly contempt for the huge, stupid loggerheads, yellow in their armor plating, strange in their love-making, and happily eating the Portuguese men of war with their eyes shut. He had no mysticism about turtles, although he had gone in turtle boats for many years. He was sorry for them all, even the great trunk backs that were as long as the skiff and weighed a ton. Most people are heartless about turtles because a turtle's heart will beat for hours after he has been cut up and butchered. But the old man thought, "I have such a heart too, and my feet and hands are like theirs." He ate the white eggs to give himself strength. He ate them all through May to be strong in September and October for the truly big fish. He also drank a cup of shark liver oil each day from the big drum in the shack where many of the fishermen kept their gear. It was there for all fishermen who wanted it. Most fishermen hated the taste, but it was no worse than getting up at the hours that they rose, and it was very good against all colds and grips, and it was good for the eyes. Now the old man looked up and saw that the bird was circling again. "Here's a found fish," he said aloud. No flying fish broke the surface, and there was no scattering of bait fish. But as the old man watched it, a small tuna rose in the air, turned and dropped head first into the water. The tuna shone silver in the sun, and after he had dropped back into the water, another and another rose, and they were jumping in all directions, churning the water and leaping in long jumps after the bait. They were circling it and driving it.